Again today. I'm going to go ahead and leave the title as, oh my God, he's coding. And we'll see how that goes. So just a brief summary of what we've done so far. So yesterday for 8 hours, I struggled with what to do to write this deployment script. The goal is to create a tool that will deploy everything in a GitHub repo to its desired destination as the target user group and with the permissions that you want, um, and be able to run the deploy script from within the repo so that it knows about everything that's in the repo and where it needs to go. And it does does a sanity check to see if anything has changed in those files that will be overwritten. And the reason is because, as I've said before, we have a situation at work where people are making live changes in tests and sometimes production, and they're not putting it into Git. And the risk is that you will overwrite some of those changes, even though it's not your fault. If you're the one who overwrites them, you're going to be the one who gets in trouble, which would have been me last week. So this is a tool that I wrote and completed in Bash already. And decided yesterday to rewrite it in Python. We debated about some other things for a while, including Perl, and which a lot of the source code is written in that I'm migrating. So that's where we are, and we are in the middle. So we're about to go diving right back into it again. And all I'm going to really do is talk about what I'm doing, and occasionally come up for air. I do have the chat right here in front of me. Hi, Bellum, and we'll talk about that. This is taking a priority. This has kind of consumed my weekend, which is good. It's getting my mind off some other stuff that's happening this weekend, which is kind of sad and happy at the same time. So there's lots of changes happening in my life right now. And so it is kind of good to get my mind off it and do some streaming. People have been asking me, why am I doing coding streaming again? And this is mostly just because this is the kind of thing that I can do and let everybody watch. I may or may not actually do instruction where I actually code and help other people learn technology and coding and things like that. There is a possibility that I will be helping one or more people to actually learn how to code and get into tech. So who's Dakota? I don't know who Dakota is. I don't know who that is. Anyway, so I just got done talking with family and stuff, and so we're breaking there. I think Gordon actually might be streaming a little bit. North or South Dakota. All right, so I'm going to just jump into it again. It's going to get much more boring now that I'm not really doing anything except for writing code. So if you're coming here for entertainment or for any of my IRL stuff, that's the thing. Actually, I do want to plug the regular talk. We had a very lively conversation on Valentine's Day. I'm just going to let you watch it. We had about a 90-minute conversation that was really entertaining with people in our chat yesterday. I really appreciate all the people that were here for that. And I plan to continue to do those internal indoor bike streams on weekday mornings. I don't know about today. I think today I'll probably take the day off. It's been a busy day. I've been up since like 7:30 doing stuff. So, but yeah, the Zwift streams are fun, and they're me indoors, and I'm just riding for no reason. So if you run across this video and you're wondering about that, just tune in and you'll see every morning. Times differ though. So, all right, what do we got going on? So we have tmux running, and we have one window open in PyLib. We decided to keep the name PyLib. We're in the test directory, which is shown by here. So let's make a new one. Do we want a Python virtual environment? Yes. We want it to load. And so this is the one that we will use to do the other code. So we have a couple unit tests left to write for the different functions. Let's actually go through and take an audit of this. I could probably write a tool to do this, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to audit our functions and make sure that we're testing all of them before we continue. So We're going to deploy. Let's go to the top and see what we got. Let's search for all the deps. We have applies to hosts. Applies to hosts is getting true. This is a bad test because it's automatically saying it's true, which is wrong. This is easy to do. Let's go ahead and fix it. We'll do one at a time. So applies testing. One of the reasons to do it in Python is so that I can use the unit testing and get better with that. Test applies to hosts. Deploy applies to hosts. Let's actually use our technique down here that we've been using. I keep using we instead of I. What is your guys' take on that? You know, a lot of streamers will say we, right? Deny applies to hosts. We just need the one item. We don't need items. Wait. Actually, I think that's all we need. Deploy applies to hosts. Assert applies to hosts. Return true. Have the versus what? The we versus I debate? Yeah. Yeah, we've done that before. Deploy applies equals to host item. Does this item apply to this host? This should always be true. What does assert do? Assert statements are a convenient way of saying assert expression, assert blah, blah, blah. Simplest form debug. Assert statements are a convenient way to insert debug assertions into a program. Assert expression, comma. So you can insert more than one thing at a time. I guess so. All right, so let's do that. Let's say assert, this should be true. So it applies to the host. So this should definitely apply to the host, right? We could say assert not applies to host. Say local. Let's do this. Actually, let's do, yeah, let's do local. Hey, hi, Shars. I'm good. And we'll add this here. I'll put other here. Python is easier to code in terms of typing for sure. I'm not even gonna lie. And there's less curly brackets to type. I know I can't help myself. Okay, unexpected indentation. Why do you say that? Wait, did I put in too much of a... There we go. All right, so we've got those two tests running. We should probably run a new runnable tests. Let's go into the test directory and just keep running tests. How about that? Pylib, so we don't have to rerun them every time. Let's see, NTR. Actually, I wonder if I can do this from the top level. I don't think I can. I don't think I can. Here, let me try this. I'm going to try this. So NTR bash dash D clear cd into pylib tests and then do pytest dash s and then cd back. Anytime any file in this entire directory changes. All right, there we go. So now this is our running tests. And we can actually change the name to tests and watch over that. So, and this by lib, there's our test. So let's work in our test file. So if I take, this is what we can see here. We can say, go to our test here and then go back and forth. And we can see stuff. So like if I go in here and I say print made, we'll put made out in the output. And so it just runs the test every time I make any changes. Quietus, how you doing? All right, so applies to host is done. What other one do we have to have? We got applies to host is testing and it's correct. So we got true and false, depending on how we wanted to have. Wait, oh, I got caps lock on. Sorry. Exists. Source path exists. This looks up the item and sees if it exists. These should probably all be. This should probably all be OOP against the item. The reason I don't want to do that is because if I do that, I can't unmarshal like I can in Go. And I'm using just YAML parsing, which puts it into a map or a list, hash map. So I'm going to keep that. Otherwise, these applies to host and source exists. These are kind of backwards OOP methods, but you know, that's fine. Resolve item paths. So this goes through the entire items list and resolves them all. So let's see if we have a source exists test. Source exists test, source my script is a yes. Actually, we can do this. We can put both of these tests into one. We can insert not deploy, exist no. See if our test worked. Yep. Okay. So those work. Yeah, and this is an item, but we did it kind of the easy way. I don't even know if we need a safe load here. I think we could probably do this better by doing this instead. We could say, yeah, I think we can do this. I think this is actually faster. That work? Yep. Yep, much faster. Easier to read too. And put a not here. And we can say host other. Super easy, simple unit tests that will save me from making mistakes. I feel better when I have unit tests about delivering stuff. I just know it's not going to break randomly. Source exists. Resolve, or if it does break, I know where to go look. All right, resolve item pass. I think we have a test for this already. Yeah, we do. Down here, I just have to put them in the right order. We'll resolve item pass. Source exists, resolve item pass. They're not really in any particular order. Is this actually running? Looks like it is. Okay, so what this does is it changes all the paths. Oh wait, we're not doing any testing on it. No wonder. There's no assert at all. All right, well, let's do this. Let's do assert. Hmm. What we really want to do is we want to make sure that item paths, manual coders are going to get left behind. Okay, have fun with that. Um, this stuff that I'm writing could not be written by AI. Nope, not in the same amount of time. So, yeah, I'm counting on the fact that people believe what you said, what you just said, to keep me employed well into my retirement, making actual money. I use AI all the time, but if you think AI is going to replace coding things that run as root on systems that produce billions of dollars of value, which is what I do, think again. All right, so yeah, you can drink that Kool-Aid and die with the rest of them. So AI has a place for sure. I use it all the time, but that's not the place. All right, let's go ahead and just dump these items here for the sake of being items. Host localhost. Okay, there we go. So all we really want to see here, you see how the POSIX path now has an entire path in it, right? So that's exactly what we want. Users, artist Rob, blah blah blah. It has fully qualified the entire path. That's what we want. They'll engineer safety mechanisms. Okay. Make sure that you um, tell the whole world that, because I want them to believe that, because that way I stay employed and make way more money because I make software that works. This is coming from a guy who wrote 14,000 lines of code using nothing but prompts and AI to do one of the coolest overlays of Twitch history. But there's a place for you to not do that. Writing tests for this kind of thing. This is the kind of thing you might be able to pull off by having AI write the test for you. But they would suck, and I've already tried it, and you can't read the tests, and the whole point of the test is to make it easy to debug and read. Okay, so we need to actually test this part here. And we can go ahead and do that. Do X, but do it safely. Yeah. My favorite question for people who say those things is, do you have a job? I can't resist. I'm sorry. Um, here we go. Items. So this worked. Now we need to figure out how to test that. So in order to do that, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say path equals os.get cwd. And this is kind of lame, but I'm going to do it this way anyway. I love how to pass with the path. Expected a statement. No, we need this. There we go. And then we need to say, we need to check the items. So we need to say assert hosts. Let's do this. Assert. Yeah. We're going to go ahead and pull in. I'm trying to decide which one to do first. I think we could probably we could just do the first one. Oh, wait, I guess we could do each one separately. Items, their own. Source. Starts with. Isn't it starts with? This is where I use AI right here. You want to see me use AI, this is when I do it. Because I don't want to memorize everything that I need to memorize. Um, let's see if that worked. Nope. No matter starts with. So this is where you'll see me use AI. Starts with, oh, maybe because it's not a string. I guess it's because it's a path. Path has no starts with, yeah. So as a break, you have to say, actually we wouldn't want to start with anyway. No. Uh, so yeah, we would want to say, because this is already, a path is already, I think path is already a path. We need something, it's not a string, so we can't even trust it to be backslash or forward slash because we want to make this like thing. Yeah. Yeah. Downstream code space string converted at the end. How about checking a path for the beginning? The path has a given prefix. And the AI will tell me. Path living for path is relative to base. That's what we want. Assert source to change this to base. Yep, passed. Nice. It should be. We just added it. Let's check item 2 is relative to base. Yep, good deal. 6 tests passed. Good. Let's go back and check make sure we got unit tests on everything. All right, so resolve item paths. Test, let's see, which one we have next? Parse we don't really need to worry about. This is, well, because we tested resolve item paths, we don't need to test parse independently. I mean, I guess we can, just for the sake of completeness. Resolve item paths and parse. All right, so def test parse. We need to give it an actual map. So is this in the test file? Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and do this one. The test lib, we can parse the file map in the current directory, which is already the default. So actually all I have to do is say items equals parse and assert items 0. Just do a basic test here, doesn't have to be fancy. Is going to look like this. Let's do item 2 since it's better. Ah. All right, so let's do this. I guess we don't have to do that. Let's just cherry pick a few things out of here. So assert items is that 1 dot dot hosts equals localhost. This would be interesting to see. I know this expect it as a statement. Fine. Hosts 0 equals localhost. What did I do wrong? Oh, deploy parse. Assert items 1 host 0. Oh, it's assignment. Derp, Robert. Equals locals. Go check. Oh, we missed one. Has no attribute hosts. Well, this is what it does have. So item 1 has hosts, localhost, source. Let's go to item 2. Has a hosts 1. Yes, it does. So that would be 2. Oh, I know why. Yeah. So we need to do. There we go. Yep, get rid of the print. Pass. All right, so next, pilot deploy, we have parse. Let's do get diff all. I think I have a test case for this already. Get is all before get diff. I should probably get diff before that. Just makes sense. Put get diff there. All right, and so let's do this. Get diff. We're just gonna test get diff once. I don't need to have 2 like you do in Go. I can have the 1 and put them both here. I can do 2 assertions here. Keep it into 1 test. And I believe that test already passes. So, yep. Test get diff is in the house. Get diff all changes. So this is and we don't need a suffix this either because we can any changes we can put in here. A certain length is changes 1. Okay, so this is not a very good test. All we're doing is checking that one of these has changed and one of them hasn't. And that is based on the fact that source missing is not there. So therefore, that is a change. That means that this missing would be pushed because destination missing is not there. And we are returning the results of the command itself so that they can be individually queried and displayed however. And that will come in our preview test, which we have yet to do. So we have get diff and get diff all are both getting tested successfully. We should add an exception handler here. I'm not going to do it though. I'm just going to let it get trapped above. I don't care. And then preview. Preview is our last one we need to do push as well. There's a bunch of other ones we need to do, but preview is the one that actually prints everything to the screen. Preview is a little tougher to test because it actually does print stuff and you can't redirect standard out and capture it and all that stuff. Yeah. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's just run it, just see what happens. Test preview. And God, we could run that against, actually preview now has to take a file map reference. And That is because it's kind of higher up in the food chain. So it's going to call parse. And parse has to have a file name. Okay, so, a path. So we take that and then we parse that, parse the file map, and we get all the giant changes, and then we go through the loop of the changes and print them out. Now, preview will probably have, I'm trying to decide if we should make preview itself uh, have options like that you can change this stuff. Capture equals sys. You can test standard out with pad test, for example, with 100% yes. Yeah, sort of. But this is a different case because I want to capture the output, and I also want to check the output against what's like I do in Go. So first things first, let's just get it to run. So let's do that. So let's say I can just say preview, and we actually don't have to do anything else because file map is implied from relative to the test location, which I think is already set. So we'll go, yep, okay, maybe not. Changes that set out. All right, so, oh, that's supposed to be change. Glad we did a preview because it's wrong. This is supposed to be changed, not set out. All right, so now we have that, and we didn't get any output at all. That's because nothing's changed. I think it probably did that. Yeah. So, I mean, we could possibly mess with the way to capture that. What I'm interested in right now is why we didn't get any changes. So I'm going to check that. There's the changes. So we got the completed process of what it ran. We got the POSIX path to the script. It didn't do any stood out. I think it's probably because it didn't find a file map. I think it didn't find a file map. I think that's the problem. Yeah, because see how it's got return code 1. Return code 1 is a fail. That's interesting. Okay, so if we're gonna do a preview, should the preview be always true? I don't think so. I think what I'm trying to decide is if the return value of preview should indicate whether preview should the only reason preview is a presentation layer thing. So that means it should only return true or false if it can't actually preview anything. If it can't, right? It's not a logical check to see if there was a difference, right? That would be something like has changes or is changes or any of that, which might be a better name for this actually. So parse gives you all of the items, and then get diff is the actual check. So like if you wanted to do the check directly, you could just do the parse into the get diff. We could set up a chain here by saying that so we could do a get diff. We could have preview take in the file map, and then preview could, instead of print anything, we could say has changes. Actually, that's already returned by getDiff. Because git diff doesn't add any changes unless they're already. Oh, that's what's going on. I don't think there's any changes at all. Yeah. I bet you the length of changes is 0. Because we haven't, because our map is something's resolving. Yep, there's one change. Okay, so well, what is the change? We're changing changes, print change, let's set out. And that change didn't have, let's just print that change. All right, so that change, this is a complete process. Okay, so this one said, yes, you definitely have a change, but it didn't capture any stood out. And that, I think that's because I'm calling subprocess wrongly. I think I'm calling subprocess wrongly. Changes to pep get diff source, changes out of pen res. Subprocess capture output equals true. Why is it not capturing the output? Maybe it's because, I don't know, it's not running or something. Right, I'm not apply changes above. Oh, if not applies to host and not source exists. Continue, but it's still got to change, so that means it made it through. So here, let's do this. Let's say print changes. I'm doing a little debugging. It's 1, so print changes 0. It should be the same as the other one. Except for this. Oh, it's because standard error is being printed out. Okay, so in the preview, that's what's going on. We need to put in the preview, we should say, for changing changes, print change dot stud out and change dot stud error. That should make it much more interesting. Could not access blah 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 blah. Users artifact rub. I get a rub deploy piling scripts test scripts source scripts bin. Yeah. Test source scripts bin. I feel like that means that the resolution of the file map is wrong. That's definitely in our test call. Let's fix our test call. So our test call says deploy preview, but we don't specify the file map. And the file map is right here, file map. So the error message we got said deploy pylib tests source scripts bin. So let's look, where's it getting that? Source scripts bin. Source scripts. All right, so okay, so it was trying to, so this is kind of weird because it's doing source scripts bin. Could not access source scripts bin. Oh, I see why. Oh, this is interesting. Did that have dest local on it too? It didn't. Oh, you know what's happening? The prefix is not working. We need to use this as a test in here. We need to use that in a test in one of our other tests. Where is it? I got the wrong thing open here. This is supposed to be Robert. Oh, the first one's test. Okay. The one that does the prefixing, what is it? The resolve? Hey, Brelin. We're looking for resolve. Here we go. Resolve host pass, right? We need to add this. Come on, baby. Yep. Wrong one. Why does it keep doing that? Robert. Hosts, localhost. I know this. Source script's been recurse. All right. So that should be. We didn't check the target. That's what happened. Might as well add. Oopsie. How do you do spans in Python? I don't have to write a full loop, I'm pretty sure. It's range, that's right. Range 1 to 4. Or n in range. Forgot about that. 0 to 3. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. The legends. I don't know about that. Hey, how you doing, LTN? While parsing a well, it says while parsing a while parsing a block map. Oh, I got a problem here. There's a problem, Houston. Set list. Set no list. My YAML parsing is not happy. What have I done incorrectly? I've done something wrong. Line 8, column 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's see. Expected block end but found block mapping start. Something about that beginning of that host line and the source line. Did that have that lined up? Looks like an owner group. Indentation since you're treating as a string. I thought I was. How you doing, Zenodis? Oh. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. It's not using tabs. But you're right about the spacing. Could I access? Okay, so this is the same error that we got before. So we had an error that passed one of our unit tests, so we were able to uncover that in another test. I'm glad, because this is the kind of thing that would have made it in. So RDBX deploy pylab, and if you're doing this as root, you don't want to blow away an entire directory. It's like really dangerous. RDMX deploy pilot test SRC scripts bin. So something about this test is wrong. And even though it's relative to the base, this is not correct. So yeah. What we're doing, everybody, is we are trying to replace the preface up to source missing here with the relative path to the file map that contains a reference to it. And that is this part here. And this one that's going to source scripts, that looks like that's the problem. So the first one is source my script, source missing, source scripts. Let's look again. Source my script. That was the first one, right? Source missing and source scripts. Okay, so these files, we haven't even got to the target yet, which is messed up. All right, so it's saying that it could not access. Later on, it says, deploy pilot test source scripts bin. Where is it getting that bin from? So this is a different test, but what it's trying to do is it's putting this. I actually think it's this right here. Nope. Good. Because we want to be able to have a training slash. That's like a really important test. I think it's doing the target wrong. And I can't prove it just yet, but that's what I think is happening. So, okay, see how it says there's only one reference to bin in all of our tests, destination local bin. And if we look at the file map, that is also the only location to bin. So that means that the program itself is screwing up the get diff, because it's comparing the target. So what we need to do is we need to look at the resulting command. We want to look at the subprocess command. And well, frankly, we don't know which test that's failing on. So it looks like it's the last test. Would you say that's the second to last test or the last test? Could be this one. Let's get rid of this and see if it passes. All right, so that it was the last one. Okay. So it's definitely a problem with our deploy. What am I doing? All right, so that's definitely a problem with the deploy. And I don't quite know what it is. Preview is here. Items file path map changes to get that file item. Print items. This is why we're doing this, so we have the testing. I wish you could print it, pretty print it. How can I pretty print a structure in Python? I know you can. Can I pretty print a map in Python? There's a way to dump it. It's like a data dumper, but I don't remember what it is. PP print. Of course it is. Of course it is. Pre-print my dictionary. Pretty printer. PP dict. Copy. We want pprint dict. Pprint. There we go. Yay. All right, so host localhost. Pprint my dict. Oh, okay. POSIX path users, artifacts Rob, GitHub, artifacts deployed, PyLab test. What are you, 13? PyLab test destination, my script. It's my brain, not yours. Locals, I know this recurse options owner POSIX path. I mean, it's doing it fine. See, look, it's doing it fine. So it's making a mistake someplace else. Pylib tests. You see how it put all those other pretty things out there? I love it. Deploy pylib test local bin. I'm so glad we rewrote this in Python. I was complaining before, but now I take it all back. All right, so where is the error coming from? It's obviously not there. So let's look at the changes and see what those look like. You know, it was funny. It was funny. I'm not gonna lie. Spin up an OpenClaw instance, old man. Do you have a job? What is it? How much money do you make? Everybody who tells me to like get with the program and use some radical edge new AI thing, yeah, hold my beer. Well, I actually make money doing work that matters. I'm not saying AI doesn't matter. I'm just saying the way people approach it is just ridiculous. Okay, okay, let's do this. Let's say, in which language? And why Python today? We already talked about this. All of Ansible is written in Python. Best tool for the job, you dogmatic fools. Do I even code, bro? Let's not do this. Let's not do this, please. Old man, I spawned 16 agents and can code 1,000 lines of code 24 hours a day while you sleep. We have a troll in the house. Those are the words of a troll seeking attention. Yeah. You lost me at JavaScript. Best tool for the job. The options were Bash, Perl, or Go. Actually, not even Go because they don't want Go. I don't want to. We talked about this like in the 8-hour video two days ago. Yeah, there was 2 days ago. We spent 4 hours deciding what language to write it in, and ad nauseum. And we landed on Python because that's the one that most of the team, both operations team and developer team, agree on. I've coded the API all in Go. I'm the only one on the team who understands Perl like natively, besides the guy who created it, who's 5 years younger than me, by the way. And that's where we are. Those are the options. You write the code that is necessary to get the job done. And in this case, that's the code. That's what professionals do, not people with JavaScript in their name on Twitch. All right, completed process, org, blah, 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 POSIX path, users are big shrub, repos, GitHub, deploy. Actually, that's not pretty. That's not pretty. I want pretty printing. God dang it. Why isn't that pretty? It's not as pretty as I wanted. I feel like it overdid my pretty printing changes, but whatever. All right, so we got the pretty print, color, no index, POSIX path, user path, deploy, pylib test source scripts, deploy pylib test destination local bin. Okay, so those are good. That's what I was afraid of, is that those two were wrong. Return code 1, which means we had an error. And then this is the part that's freaking me out. So it tried to run against, could not access users, artifacts Rob deploy pylib test scripts bin. And I think the reason for that is what does the actual getDiff command line look like? That's what I need to know. The getDiff, here's the arguments. So these two paths are the arguments. So one of the arguments is this path, and then the other argument. So actually, this is what the get diff output would be. Is what it is, and the get diff output is giving me an error. So it could not access. This is the part I don't understand. So this is a get diff thing. Get diff is saying I cannot diff two files. It's basically recursing source scripts. Oh, I know why. Because under source scripts, I think there's a bin directory. I'm guessing there's a bin directory. And no, there's not. All right, it's time for me to actually back out and use the get diff command directly. So just to like do this properly. So we have git dash c core. I'm only gonna have to do this once. Core file mode is false. This is a hard command. So diff dash dash color dash dash no index, and then we have the path. So this I will cut and paste using tmux. A bit slower, but whatever. I want to get it right. I don't want to fat finger it. And then this one. So this is the exact command that's being executed by the Python code. And it produces the same error. No surprise there. But why? No index, get core. I'm wondering if we have to use it. We already tested using the internal dip library. Yeah. And yeah. Yep. So user artifacts rob repos, GitHub artifacts rob deploy, pylib, test source scripts, test dest local bin. Where is the bin coming from? Dest local bin. No, that's what it's supposed to be. Could not access GitHub deploy PyTest source scripts bin. Why is it trying to access that? That doesn't make any sense to me. I think this is a problem with git diff. I'm gonna have to bring. I'm glad I found this because this affects my bash version right now. What I'm testing for here is I'm trying to test that the dest local bin does not exist. And I want source scripts to say that doesn't exist, but it would actually put it there without returning it, without dying. This is a simple problem. Okay, well then fix it, answer it instead of saying it's stupid simple. Yep. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it so it's producing an error, but in the past, if the file's not there, it will still attempt to do a diff. But the part that I don't understand is this. It is the git diff command is implying the creation of a source scripts bin. I haven't said anything in any argument about that. The only thing I mentioned in the argument, I gotta say this to my friend, because this here, so this means that the Git tool itself is coming up with a path that is using some algorithm to come up with that path. Gotta go now. See you, Lewis. Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here screwing around. So dest, see here it says dest local bin. Dest local bin, we give it as an argument, and we give it source script as an argument, but we not once do we give it source scripts bin. We don't ever give it that argument. So it's coming up with that argument some other way. And I don't know how that is. That's like super important, because if I can't figure this out, then using getdiff for this task is not good, which is another reason I'm glad I picked Python, because Python has its own diff libraries, several of them, and I could just use those natively instead of using getdiff. I use getdiff because that's what I use in Bash, and it was fast, and call out to it. We don't. The recursive doesn't. There's no recursive in the test at all. The recursive is a different thing. We haven't even gotten to the testing that part yet. That's the so could not access it. There never was a source scripts bin, nor will there ever be a source scripts bin. I actually think this is a bug. I do. I think this is a bug. I think this is an edge case bug in the Git program, because what it should be saying, if anything, is there's no such thing as a pylib dest local bin, which there isn't. There isn't. There's no dest local bin. See, there's just a dest and there's no local bin in here. So that error seems wrong. To me, the error seems wrong, because if anything, it should be complaining that first of all, there is no source scripts. I'm sorry, source scripts. So there is a source scripts, but there is not a dest bin. There's not a dest local bin, and there's not a dest bin. But it's telling me, the error says there's no source scripts bin. What it should be saying is there's no dest bin. This is a bug. So the question now becomes, do we trust getdiff and figure out how to get around this? Do we figure that this error message is just misguided, and it's just a bug in the output of the error message? Yeah. Well, this is executed from the command line. There's no Python involved here. This error is being directly produced by the command. So yeah. I tell you what, let's simplify it a little bit. Let's just do no such path in the working tree. That's the error I was expecting to get. Yeah, max depth equals 1. That's a good idea. Wait, what? What did you just say? You might be onto something, Jalopy. What comes first? Actually, it doesn't matter what comes first. So this gives us the error that we're expecting to see. So use get diff dash dash path to specify paths that do not exist locally. This is interesting. I wonder if we did this. Oh, wow. That's super interesting. All right, let's try the other command. Oops, sorry, this is gonna take a long time. Wait, was there a line return in here? No? What if we did this? Could I access source script bin again? It goes through the tree like a worm, so it crawls the one next to the next to that. It hits the one that doesn't even exist. What errors is it gonna have throw? I think it's the no index, honestly. I think that's it. I think no index is the one that's doing it. No, that worked. No, okay. So when we get rid of the index, it does it, but if we have the index, it does a different error. See, this is the error. This is the error I was expecting. So I have to read some stuff. I don't understand get diff enough. I need to understand what this is doing. So what does no index? Full index. Show objects named on index lines. Name only send change files. You're thinking because it couldn't find the one before that, right? The reason this is important is because that error line is going to get printed out to a non-technical a non-programmer, and they're going to say, what? That file doesn't exist. That's why I'm concerned, because we use this output to give hints to people that their stuff is out of sync. And that particular message is kind of misleading. That's why I'm so into this. Because, you know, I'm going to ask the AI, what does get no index do? Do a diff, but don't treat these paths as part of a grid repo. Git becomes a general purpose tool, even if the files that are not tracked on the repo, not even a set directory. Normally, git diff assumes you're inside a git repo, you're comparing commits, the index of tracked files. With no index, git skips all repository logic and just compares two paths. Neither file is in git. You're not in a repo. This engine is better. Yeah. What I don't understand, okay, so that error is what I would expect, but when I do no index, it's like, maybe she can explain this to me. The line break after users RBX Rob. How is there a line break after that? Wait, what? Is that a YAML syntax error? Oh. No, it's not. There's no line break there, you idiot. That's because I copy and pasted it. I want to get on to the other stuff. It's taking too long. Git repo at all with no index. The access is true as the path does not exist in the file path in this file system. I think, well, okay, I think part of the problem is that I'm using full paths. And I thought that that might help me, but I think that might actually be a problem. I thought I could get away with using full paths. The reason for that is because I want to be able to do this anywhere. That's why I resolved all the paths. And I think that's actually a problem. So, or cannot access, blah, blah, blah. Source scripts slash bin. Yeah, that I just this if I print this error message, it's going to confuse the hell out of people. Jalape's right, I think, that the reason it's doing this is because it's starting with this. It's starting with this tree. It's starting with the, I don't know why, but it's starting with the test destination tree. And um to give a better message, right? So it's I think that what's happening is it's actually starting with the test destination tree and it's trying to look up and there is a destination. And then it kind of goes through that and then it comes to the destination local bin and says, "Oh, do you have one of those?" And it says, "Nope, there is no source scripts bin, so I cannot compare the two." But but that's why this is misleading, right? I think that's probably it. Well, the whole point of using getdiff is that we don't have to validate it exists at all, right? Um, I mean, I was doing that because it's not just that; it's like it's also, um, yeah. I hear what everybody's saying here. Ouch! I keep hurting my elbow. Um, so getdiff all. Um, what we really need to know is it the getdiff failed, and if the getdiff failed, we just append it and we say that and we can say, actually, if the getdiff had an error and it couldn't even execute, then we need to actually put that. So now let's talk about the previewing of the output results. So that's what we're doing actually right now. So for the changes, we want to print not just the stud out, but we need to summarize the changes in a way that looks nice, right? And this is going to be a reportable way. And then we're also going to have another command called list that will do all that. So we want to see all the results. This is the main thing that scripts does is this sanity check. So we want to get something good here. I kind of want to use a template or something, but for right now we can say, um, you know, uh, I wonder. It doesn't pretty print very well, but yeah, I have an idea. Yeah, what am I? All right, so I'm gonna print um So the problem with the git diff is, okay, this is a problem that we have with the bash script too. When we're just doing a preview, we're just showing that the file would be created, right? And what I'm trying to do is decide if we need to not use git diff or need to name it something else, and we should put something in the git diff command that does that. We should probably put something in the git diff command that says um, the source of the target doesn't exist, and um, and more, because the whole point of this is to be able to preview what's going to happen when you do an actual deploy. So in this case, what would happen is the directory would be created and it would be rsynced across properly. That's what would happen. So the parent directory, we would do make -p to get all the parent directories, and then we would rsync that directory into the other one and have it maintain all the permissions. Then we actually do a follow-up pass on the ownership and the permissions, and we set all those. That's already, I already have that written. That's how it works. So what we've caught though is an edge case that I did not have in my bash script, where before we did the diff, we did a check for the first one and the second one. I think we need to call this something besides git diff. This iteration, the reason this didn't get caught before is because this is all in a single big ass loop in my bash script. So having an individual git diff is good, but git diff all is probably not. We don't want to git diff all. We don't we also we want to return what changed, but and I assume that, hey, we could just we could take the capture from the sub process, but you know, we need to do two more. See, here we go. If not source exists, item continue. Okay, so it applies to the horse. If the source does not exist, continue. Wait. Does that mean the source does exist in that command? I think it does. Source scripts. Yep. Okay. So that's why that didn't trap that. Oh, I know what we can do. See, what I thought git diff would show us if the target doesn't exist is that it would create it, but it's not going to show us that. So we have to trap that before that. Yeah. So that means that but that's, you see what I'm saying though? That's not a git diff. So what do we do there, right? This is not a git diff all. This is a check all. The problem I have with this is that, what do we return here, right? I was returning I was a whole bunch of changes. I think we need to return a check. I think we're going to need a struct here. I think that's what we need, and I don't know how to do those. I think it would be, is it class? I think we need a I could stuff it into a sub-process check and then have it just be one of the many sub-process checks, right? And we could actually simulate that. That might be a better use of that. The only reason I'm passing back the check is because it's got all the data in it. It's got where the error was, what the stat out was, and all that. But this wasn't necessarily a sub-process. So what is the end goal of this? The end goal of this is for me to have a collection of all the changes that would be potentially done and the output of what would change. And the primary tool for that is getDiff. One of the things they could do, this is where we kind of like get into a rabbit hole, because if I start making a structure for the check, then well, a couple of things happen there. One, it's not tied to the getDiff command at all, so we can check it however we wanted to. You know, I think we need a struct for this. I do. I think we need a struct. I need a struct to contain the results. To contain a description. To contain a description, I guess. A description, and we want the two files involved. Actually, you know what we could do? We could pull one from the Kubernetes path, and we could say we could add a status field to that because it's just a map. So we could actually inject into the item a status and then just return an items list. And then we would return all the items that have a status of. That's the way to go. That's definitely the way to go. That's a very Kubernetes way to do it. But ouch, fuck! I have this piece of bone floating in my skin in my elbow that it hurts all the time from an ancient injury. um, all right. So what we're gonna do, instead of doing a getDiff is just one thing. We're gonna say check items. We're gonna just call it check. And we're gonna go through the items, and we don't need a new items list. For item and items, if not applies to host, item dot status equals, and does not to this host. Status equals source not found. Okay. And this is much better. All right, so then we say if the target doesn't exist, but the source does exist, then we say would create source. If not target exists, and actually we could continue on that. We don't have to do the diff. Oh, this is way better. Okay, good. If target exists item, uh, target would be created. Okay. There's no target exists. Target exists. All right, continue. Get diff, res, get diff, item source, item target. If return codes, okay. So that if that's going to skip it, it's going to say, hey, it doesn't, so we don't get that error message. This is perfect. And then we do a get diff. If the source and the target both exist, then we go ahead and we do a get diff. And undefined name time change the range. Wait, so this needs to be if the result set return code equals thing, then yes, then does not equal 0. Um, um, the problem with this is that this does not check ownership changes. So wait, I had this problem in the bash one. Because if you're going to use get diff, it would like propagate through all of the files and it would tell you the ownership changes that are going to happen. So, yeah. If that is your intent to check, it is the key. Target exists, item. Can't target exists. No, this is the same. This is the same item. The target and the source are both in an item. Yeah. Oh, the function. Oh, thank you for that. God, I'm glad you did that. Glad you caught that. Thank you very much. Get the source item. The problem with this is that they're not identical. So if I say the return code is the same, because we are not checking perms and stuff. I'm just gonna leave the status off. You only get a status if something is gonna happen. I think it should be, there should be an error. This is way faster than Go. I'd have to change all the structs and everything. Item.status target not bound would be created. This is just a change that would happen. Item dot would create target. Undefined inches. So if the return code is 0, that means that there was a problem. What does it get to return codes? If it equals 0, if the return code is 0, that means it did it, but we don't know what the output is. So we could do this. We could say item.would equal res.studout. If there's studout, what if there's no studout? Pile items equals pile parts. Get dip all. Check items. Pretty print the item. Local variable. Changes the sign bit never used. Oh, well. This is weird. I should not do this. Item would as an attribute would. Oh, wait. This isn't JavaScript, Robert. That's a map. End of a word I don't remember. There we go. That's in the test cases. Okay. Change assert length equals 1. Oh. This is totally different now because the changes are just going to be all the stuff that's going to change. That's not a thing anymore. So hey, how you doing? Thank you for the sub. Import. Is that a thing? What's the line I use in the other one? From print, print. From print. Oh. Oh boy, look at that. All right, so status does not apply to this host. Host, I know this, public's path. My script, everyone recurse. What else we got? Would do nothing. Would do nothing again. Because target doesn't exist. What does it set out? Oh, okay, here we go. So, if there was a difference, the target exists is failing. We need a test case for that. I should just use the same code, honestly. Making a function is overkill for that, but oh well. Oh, whoops. Yeah. Ah, where should we make it? Test. Wait, what? I feel like that's not working. Source exists, item would create target. Item would. It should not have gotten here. Oh, it's because the source exists. If the source exists and the target doesn't exist, it skips. And it puts an error. Did we get a source not found on anything? There it is. Destination missing. Localhost my script destination script. Is there? I think there is a destination script for this one. I think that's a problem. There is a destination. Yep. All right. So that actually is a dip because that is a legit dip. So it was doing what it's supposed to. How often do I use expect? Been a while. A long time. So this is actually a case where the return code is 0 and we want the output. But the output was not, there was no difference. This is a super interesting case because okay. So So here's the one that hit true, and it prints the completed process. And its return code was 0, which means it worked, and there was no std out and no std error because there was no diff. That means that there was nothing to report, that the files were identical and that we can skip them. Unless we want to update a status somehow. So, so, so we do not want to add a res std out unless there's something. In fact, let's actually change that really quick to prove this. If I change that, if I change this file, we should get a different result. Yep. So it says, okay, so we got, or 1 equals the completed process. And it says, I'm a scripter. See, now we get all the color codes and everything, right? That's what we want. That's exactly what we want. Okay, so that's good. How do I change that back? All right, good, 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 good. This is good. Yeah, you're not keeping up. That's fine. Neither am I. So we want this to be. So if there was a return code was 0, that means it's successful. It returns successfully. Actually, what we need to do is this. We say if res.return return code does not equal 0, then we need to put an item error. And we're going to put, that's going to be res.std error. And that's it. We don't care about the rest. So if we get, actually, we're going to continue after that. Continue. All right. So if we get this far, then we can say what it actually would do. And that would then be, if there's a std out, if the length of res.std out is greater than 0, then we would set what it would do. Otherwise, we're not going to set that. Yep, that is what we want. Oh, std error. I'll read your comment in just a second. I want to get this done. Okay, so would create target, perfect. Status does not apply to this host. We could put status not here. That's too long. Actually, we could do, is the host name a global? Yeah. Not on. Not on, I know this. Everyone. Perfect. Okay, this is good because we can actually do the perms checks too now. Yeah. And yeah. All right. So that's absolutely perfect. Our preview is completely done. Yep. We just need to come up with something different. the only stuff we care about is the wood and the errors. If it's being ignored, we could just skip it. For item and items, if item would, how do you check if it's nil or not? Check that map has a key. No. Check if a map value exists. Hey, there, Mark. Back to coding. Yep, I have to be. Predict. My dict is not non-key, and my dict is not non. Yeah. If get would, ha. I should actually fetch the value if I'm doing that. If error is not none, print it out. We have to say what file it is that we're looking at. So actually, no, we don't. Let's just do this. Print item dot no. What is that? The item source and the target. We could just preprint the item. No, because it's going to do that big long path. We'll start here. We'll start here. Host source error market strips. Why is the error empty? We still have a bug. Oh, here we go. If the return code does not equal 0, I wonder if that'll work. Return code is 1. The stud out. Wait, what? Okay, so 0 means there was no change, and 1 means there would be a change. Oh, okay. Um, equals 1, then this is much easier. I had it wrong. So stud out, then it should be res dot stud out. If the return code is 1. If the return code is 0, what if the return code is 0? Is that the way we want the error? I think it is. No, that just means there wasn't an error, right? It just means there's no change. Else. I should do it else if. I don't want to do that. I wish I could do a case here. There we go. Would do all this jazz. Blah, blah, blah. Group, everyone, recurse owner, POSIX path. Source destination, would create target. Error, source not found. POSIX path, source adjusted error. Oh, this is perfect. Okay, that's totally what we want. You know, it's hard to test all that. There's a lot of stuff to test, but it's definitely working. Having the test cases are gonna help them help. It's not too bad. The Python's not too bad so far. We don't want a pretty print here though. I kind of want the output to be something that they could parse through pretty quickly. Because we want them to just be able to run it. The preview is like the output. So we just want to make this pretty for them. Error. See, but then we also want to tell them what the error was. So you know, the hard part about this is we want to put the entire thing, like the source and the target. Oh, okay, I got it. Source. So we'll put the source here. All right, there. Ooh, look how pretty. Error uses blah blah blah. Would be right to blah blah blah. Source target. Error source target source not found. Um, very nice. Do 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 do. Boring night, right? Still have a lot more to do. Oops, wrong thing. We really want this to be easy to read because we want people to do this. We want people to use it. I can take a space out of both of those. All right, so we want this to scroll across the screen and we want them to pay attention. So, and I should probably color code the error as well. I guess that's fine. There we go. Perfect. And get rid of the other prints as well then. We should make this a constant. Yeah. Can you make it a constant? I don't know if you can. Can you do an F string this way? Interpolation, right? It's not like printf where you can have the fields be replaced later. Undefined name error. Oh, right, because it's trying to find error and it hasn't been defined in that scope because it's an F string. Can I do an F string? Simple statements must be separated by new lines or semicolons. Yeah, because now it doesn't know it's an F string. Yeah. Yeah. Fine. Big fat no there. Um, I mean, I could do this instead to make it easier to read. Just more processing power. Ah. All right. I mean, that's way easier to read. So we'll keep that. Yeah. And then what else? So we're gonna do what would we do with the wood? This is not parsable by any means. We probably will make another function if they want to print it out in JSON parsable format, dot format instead. Yes, we could do that. Yeah, and then it would be evaluated later on. Yeah, that's what I was going for, but I kind of screwed it up, and this is done. So if we did I can do line continuation. No, not inside of a string. I don't think I can do that inside of a string. This works. I'm fine with this. This is very echo like would I can't remember that. I used to remember the ANSI number for green on by default. I don't remember it though. It's 3332. There's a whole library for this, but I don't want to use it all. Would STD out? No, would. There it goes. Diff create target. Oh, look at that. Let's just keep this as message. That actually works. How can I tell if there's a new line is more than one letter? Tell if string is more than one line. It's probably just looking for a character return. I don't want to have to parse it all, but yeah, I was afraid of that. It's like so much overhead. I feel so dirty doing that. We should probably just do an index and find the first one. How about just an index to find the first one? It'd be way faster. Like way faster. Find n. Let's find ni. New line at index, which is index. Does not equal -1 print new line at index I. All right. Let's find n is greater than 1. Does not equal -1. If s left bind does not equal -1, then print on the same line. Else, put in a new line. Oh. Create message, did not do it. It must be at least one new line on there then. How about we have 2 of them? Yeah, I know, but it splits the entire string, and the string can be pretty long. It's wasteful. That's why I didn't want to do it. I just wanted to do it. The find just does a character search for the first one. But this is the problem is that there is already there is at least one in there. So actually, let's do this. Am I getting that wrong? Why is it putting a dot in there, by the way? Why? Um, we should probably make the status a number, by the way, if we have a bunch of status codes. How you doing, Predator? Get the short code 1 would rest that out. Why is my wood? Did I screw up green? Why is it putting a dot in front of it? You see this? Oh, it's because it's after that. That's why. Never mind. Never mind. The pie test, yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was thank you. Just caught it too. Um, okay, so this one is not doing it for some reason. Um, create target is not on the same line either, which is annoying me. Message. Create target. It's not equal. I gotta want to. I'm starting to feel like this is never true. I don't know. We need to get the other thing to print. I don't know why it's not printing. So destination source has an actual missing thing, but it doesn't set it. If statements are backwards, it was backwards. I think it's backwards now. Maybe not though. I'll find out by checking. If I fix this stuff up here is not doing this, which it should for some reason, and I don't know why. I think it's why isn't it getting those? Do I have a continue in there? I don't, do I? Oh, I do. Oh, I don't want that continue in there at all. Or do I? No, I do. If it's an error, I can skip it out. I don't need to do this. If error is not known, then print the error. Otherwise, would. Now, this is an elif situation. I can do elif, or I can just do continue, which is kind of the go way to do it. I'm going back to what I had. All right. If wood is not none, green would result. It could be. Does it have an error? No, it doesn't. Why isn't this one displaying? Is it not getting returned? I don't think it's getting returned in the items list, honestly. Maybe, oh, maybe that was a different check. I think that might be a different check, actually. I think the output is something completely different. I think it's a 100% different check. So where's the test script? Preprint items, yes. This is why. Yeah. So there. Again, I don't know. That next one does not have a new line. Then this is backwards. I'm dyslexic. All right, so message would find one, message one would find. This says, it says if it's a -1, and it says it doesn't have one. Let's just do this. Then print it like this. There, that. How's that? I think that's better. All right, it's doing what it's supposed to. What I don't have is all the items. So it might be the test case. Oh yeah, here we go. So the test check is just this. Yeah. What we should really do on the test check is like parse the entire file. That's what we're gonna do. Yep. We're gonna deploy check dot. I don't. I'm gonna have to just comment this out. Hey, Quartz. Deploy check parse and call that a day. Uh-huh. There we go. Why wouldn't I use AI? Why would I use AI? Seems like all of Twitch has gone AI crazy. Which is good for me. Helps keeps me in a job. It's not reading the file map in the right place. Yep. It's doing it. Actually, it's not doing it because it's not doing an assert at all. There, it made it. Okay, so it's running it. There's something wrong though there because I think it's because it's hitting the error. I think the error is causing it to trigger. So the original bash script would trigger and stop working on any kind of error condition. And I think that's what's happening. I think it's hitting the error and it's not going on. So that's a core code problem. So we need to fix that. The way to know that is to count how many items in the check. Because see, yeah, it's parsing the file map. It's doing exactly the same thing. So print len items. Yeah, so there's like 4 items, but it's only showing that one. That seems to me that there's not a huh, source not found. Okay, so this is prints it out, and then I get it here. Here. And then let's do this one. Let's say POSIX, click on else POSIX path. See this one right here? Okay, that didn't print anything because there was no difference between the script. That returned a status of 0, and there was I can change that actually. That's the one we changed last time. Let's change it really quick. Now that will break. I mean, it won't break, but it'll say would. It should anyway. Yeah. Oh, it broke our assertion. That's right. Did it get to the other one first though? Okay, so all right, good. Good, it worked. So it printed it would what it would change, and then it prints out the diff dash get. I'm a script H key. We do the next one. Would create the target. And it says would create the target. That's good. Source not found. This is an error. We get the error. Cool. And then we get something else entirely, status ignored. So we're skipping that one. That one isn't getting picked up. So how many is that? How many total is that? Is it 4? It's 4, right? So 1, oh yeah. Here's the one. Here's the one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is how many items we have. So we just need more test items. It's not a problem. It's just we don't have enough test items yet. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I'm quite certain if I were to look at the file map here, it only has 4 test items. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it did it. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. Which is nice. Okay. Time to go on to something else in this realm. Okay, so we've got those are the only 2 things that would print out. Everything else is like, there's either it does not apply because it's not on this host, or um, it it it's the same and there's no difference. It's not going to make any difference. Right. I think I'm going to change that word to change. All right. We are good to go. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to go get something. I don't know what. Maybe popcorn, just a drink or something. And then we need to do the rest of this code. So actually, let's just check the deploy script itself. If we run deploy right now, all that YAML not found. If I do test pilot tests, whatever, well, it should, oopsie. Well, we got to fix that. Um, deploy preview items and preview the person parse through. Arguments should be on a string like path. I have a problem. Robert has a problem. Highlib deploy. That should have worked. So, oh, here we go. File map is supposed to be this. I think it's trying to tell me that the file path doesn't exist. Huh. I mean, it looks like it parsed it. So why is it having problems? Is there a p print in there somewhere? There must be. I think that's what's going on. I think it's benign. I hope it's benign. Argument should be a string or an OS path-like object where fs path returns a string, not a list. Argument should be a string or an OS path-like object. Oh, you know what? My deploy script is parsing it. Yeah. It um I think so it calls parse. It calls parse file map. And it's not having fun right here. And I don't know why. Argument should be a string. It is a string. Oh, it's a policy path. I have to force it into a string. No, that should be fine. Why is it barking at me? Stupid. Python sucks because it's like not strict enough with its types to do any good, and then it's also so loose with its types. Like occasionally you get bit by type checking, and then other times not because it doesn't do type checking. It's like the worst of both worlds. Pathlib.path file name in parse blah blah blah. Argument should be a string and not a path object. Returns a string, not a list. Items. Oh, I wonder if that's it. I wonder if that's it. All right, let's go through this again. Step through it. Preview file map. Okay, so I think I passed items to preview someplace. Yeah, I did. Deploy preview items. That's the error. Line 20 and deploy. Yep, that's the error. Because I used to do that. I used to do that. Yep. I used to do all the parsing ahead of time. I don't have to do any of this parsing anymore. Nope. I just have to say preview items. Preview, I don't even have to do any of that. I can get rid of all of this. That's why I did it. I just forgot to remove it. Compile import deploy. Returning as files to go ahead and push them. Undefined items. I push now. What I should do is I should read the sysv. Yeah. Yeah, but this is no longer a thing. So I should say file map. I should be explicit with this. Okay, so yeah, file map. God, what was the code we had here before? This, we still need this. If the length of sys arguments is greater than 1, and we're not using ops or anything like that, we will. We just aren't using it right now. So sys. So we still need this, but not in the same way we used to use it before. So now we're going to do file map. File map equals sysargv1. Otherwise, file map equals file map YAML. Do I code in Java? No. I like Java though. I used to code in it all the time. I actually hate Java, but it's a language. At this point, I'm at my life. I'm like, just I don't care. It's a language. Yay! It's working. So change Uh, right. That part is done. So this is a good stopping point. I think we got all our test code in. I think the preview test is a tricky one because let's actually fix that test and then we'll call this section done. I don't know if I'll be done for the day. I still have to do some more code. It's only 7. Um, the other code I need to do is I have to do the actual deployment using rsync. And then the other one we're copying the ownership changes. So those are all things that we can like get in there now. It took a tremendous amount of time to write all the test code, but I'm glad we did because we found all that stuff. I'm building in a deployment script it's kind of a sanity check to make sure you're deploying stuff from a repo into a system. Copy them to all the files and it needs to go make sure you're not blowing away anything that's been changed live before you do so. So pretty generic, awesome deployment script, the kind of thing everybody should have in your toolbox. If you haven't made one, you should make one. You can't always do CI/CD. Sometimes you just have a bunch of stuff in a repo and you want to get it on a system as fast as possible. And it would be nice to just be able to put how that needs to be deployed into a file and then just download the repo and run it as root or whatever, and then have it do the right thing and get all the files we need. It makes it really nice to deploy stuff. And you could Ansible playbook and all that stuff, or you can even use this to make your own Ansible playbook. But any of those things are pretty heavy duty. And this is pretty lightweight. So that's why I wrote it. It started out as a bash script at work, and now it's a little bit more. One other reason I made it is because I have the very unique situation where if I run deploy like this, if I were to do like what I just did, if I were to run deploy and see that there are changes in my system that are going to, if I do a deployment, this is what's going to change, and these are the errors. I can see that it's going to change. So right now, it's not detecting. You know what? We're still missing a change somehow. Let me change something really quick. I want to change something. I just talking through that. I'm gonna remember something I want to do. No. All right, there we go. So you see how this summarizes the change here, right? Yeah, and I almost want to put line returns between them. Would that help? I'm going to do that. He said non-committally. I'm wondering if this is just all about, stuff like this. Um, mm, mm, mm. Um, and we got to make it look pretty. Oh boy. Starlink is charging me stuff. Yeah. Um, I do like the full path in there because one of the things I've had a problem with is the people not indicating the full paths to things. And it can get confusing because there's stuff like Perl 32 and Perl 5, and they go, it's the same directory. The reason I'm doing this is because there is a space here, and that's a little bit harder to see. Um, Eck, that's gross. Um, change the V's into dashes. Do, 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 do. Come on. Do, 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 do. Am I off by one? I think I am. I need up nano. Good for you. It's whatever works, but yeah. I think this part's done. I think the dry run is done. The other thing that we need to do that's actually harder to do is to tell the file permissions changes. And I don't want to write an algorithm for that. There's a case. So this is something that's going to come up next. So one of the things we want to do is we want to assert the ownership in the group and the chmod permissions and use those commands to do those things. And to detect if there's any differences between them. The problem is that some of the entries in if it's a directory and recurse is on, then I think we already fixed this problem. So if somebody lists a directory in the file map and they turn on recurse, that means that it will recursively get diff and rsync the entire directory. And it would actually use the rsync to copy it and to set it to the permissions that are in the Git repo. The problem is that sometimes the permissions in the Git repo are messed up because of Git. And so one of the reasons we want to do this deploy thing, because we want to safeguard ourselves against people who don't know how to use Git or who do it wrong, set up wrong, and they try to deploy stuff that has incorrect permissions because they've set up Git incorrectly. So for example, symlinks, sometimes people will save files and they're supposed to be executable, but the way they save them to Git takes away their permissions, so they're no longer executable, and that sort of thing. So in order to save yourself from that, you can actually specify in the deployment file map that you want this target to be, this directory to be these permissions in chmod terms, and recursively. So that means that if you want to take away user and group read permissions, you could pass recurse to a directory and it would take away the read permissions for that directory and any directory under it. Now, the problem with that is that it's extremely destructive operation if somebody gets it wrong. And you can't check for it with git diff, because git diff will not tell you about a permissions change. In fact, I'm going to test that right now. So like if I go back to that my script, let's go try that one right now. If I go to the, let's make it so that it's substantially the same. So when I run deploy now, it won't show up. Now, if I chmod that thing, all right, if I chmod it, what is it right now? So if I chmod it, it will not show up in the git diff. So if I take away all the executable permissions, and then I run the program, oh, it does do it. Oh, you know why? Because I told it, I took away ignore permissions. Huh. You know what? I think that's enough. I think I just saved myself a ton of work by just letting git diff do the work. Because it tells you there's a difference right there. And that means you've saved the permissions incorrectly in your Git repo, and that needs to be corrected. And if I'm now starting to question the premise of putting the ability to set perms in the Git repo, because Git already has permissions set up, and I don't want to make up for people making mistakes with Git with ownership permissions. Ownership, yes, not permissions. And that includes symbolic links, right? I'm gonna try something. Um, Wait, what? Oh, there we go. See, it didn't pick up that file. Oh, because we didn't put it in the file map. And it's not being picked up by the directory. Yeah, if we picked up was the source directory. Yeah, I'm gonna try something really quick. So if I did file map and we did localhost and we did all of source and we wanted all of it into destination of source C. And we got rid of perms. So what is that gonna do? All right, so that would take, there's my script. Source scripts, destination local bin, create target, yes, error. Change, create target. So test source would create test destination source because it is the create target is this. Now if I created that, I actually have an interesting one. I'm gonna break this. I want to do host source link to destination a link. And I want to see what that will do. So that would create it because it's there. Okay, so let's do this. Let's touch a file, a zero length file at destination a link and see what happens if there's a conflict and it's going to blow it away. And that should be a problem. Yeah. It says no new line in the file. Interesting. Yep. That's terrifying. Okay, wait a second. Because source a link, source a link would be go to test source a link. Why does it go to source? Did I put source in a target? Destination a link. This is doing that same problem again. It's doing that same problem again. See, it doesn't know what to do unless it's following the symlinks. That's we want it to, we don't want that. Oh no, here we go. Here it is, it's down here. Actually, let's delete the other one. It's still doing it though. This is bad. Delete file mode 120. That means that it's no longer a symlink. Which one has to be first? test destination A link goes to test destination A link. Why is it doing git diff on both of them? Is there something wrong with our git diff command? I think there is. This should be doing a git diff against source A link and destination A link. I think the command is wrong. All right, git diff source target. Subprocess run A and B. A symbolic link named A link was deleted. A regular file named A link was created elsewhere. They are not the same kind of file system object. Git is being very explicit about that. The first hunk, symlink deleted. Delete file mode, blah, blah, blah. So I think my contrast is backwards. I think my contrast is backwards. We want this to show what the change would be. This is showing that the change would. We have the reverse. We have the reverse. That's the problem. That I am so glad I found that. I had a problem when I did the bash one too. I mixed them up. So this needs to be B and A if you want it to read properly, I think. Let's test it. And okay, so now it says that, okay, so I'm gonna have her decipher this for me. She's pretty good at deciphering this. So we want it to tell a story. We want the story to be that the type of the file is going to be overridden. So yeah, this is exactly what we want. It says the regular file A-link is being deleted. The symlink is being created. Now you're seeing a type flip. The normal file is being deleted. Okay, so that's what we want. That's why I was confused. This is what we want to show. We want to preview what the change would be if you apply this. If you apply this repo, if you run deploy in non-dry run mode against this repo on this system, you will blow away the regular file and you will change that file into a symlink. So that is showing you what would be changed. This is so important that I have this because they use symbolic links all the time to refer to two different profiles, one in the Ansible location and the other one in the normal location. And they use symlinks all the time. And sometimes there's a person who will copy it. I've been in that directory before, and I've seen people, they've had actual files that have been duplicated twice, and they've not duplicated the file correctly. One of them's out of date. And then they have other files that are symlinks to the other files. It's a total shit show. And so this is super important that we preview any symbolic link changes this way. Now, I can't test for this. I mean, the hard part about testing this is that these checksums and everything, these indexes, I don't think that they are immutable. So I can't put them in a maybe I can. Is the index sum immutable so I can put it in a test output? Only conditionally. For a given file of content type that makes them unusable in test if you control the input type. Yes, I do. Get blob IDs. I was afraid of that. So yeah. Okay, well that's exactly what we want. This is the main thing I want done for tomorrow. So I'm actually call it for tonight and then work on this a little bit later on my own time. I personally am going to use this tool instead of my bash tool because I don't trust some of the things in the bash tool. For example, the parsing of files. We have files that may have white space in them and stuff like that. And I just don't trust it. I just don't trust it. So this I trust because it's all YAML. And the YAML you can't screw with the YAML. YAML will, if you put white space there, it'll force you to put quotes around it or whatever. Or it'll just read to the end of the line. Right? In fact, we should actually try that. We should actually put a white space test in here. So yeah, I mean, this is going to take me a lot longer to make this particular tool to finish it up the way I want to, but when it is done, it'll be a drop-in replacement for the bash script, and it will do much more than that bash script does. The other big piece of this that I need for tomorrow's work to get my work done is I need, and I'm doing this on my own time because I would never charge them for this work, even though they're going to be super happy to take it from me. Because there's other deadlines, they're going to want me to work on more specific things tomorrow, so I'm going to focus on that. And one of those things that I was going to do is I was going to collect all the permissions and all the files and make sure we had a single PR against all those changes. And to tell you the truth, I need a way to automatically grab all of the stuff that's been deployed out there and see which of those things have changed from the main repo in one fell shot, because it's just onesie twosie right now and I can't really tell what things have changed or not. So that code, I will likely write that code tomorrow because I need it. I need to do that. I need to be able to go to hundreds of different files and say, okay, which of these files have changed from the Git repo? And we need that for lots of things. So I'm gonna make sure to finish that. It does mean that I probably will stream a little bit tomorrow during the day. I'll stream work stuff during the day. I have some other stuff that's super more important than that, but during the end of the day, I think I probably will do that because I do need it. So yeah, we have a bash script that works for now to do the deployment and to do the check to see if we're going to blow something away. So, but before I release that and I train anybody on it, I want to finish this to show them this instead because this is way, way, way better. And I think that's going to be it for me tonight. So what did we do? We got the dry run to work completely. So the deploy dry run is 100% finished. It summarizes all of the problems. You know what we should do? We should probably dump it to diff by default. Dump it to more. Let's do that. Let's add one more thing. So it's a nice little happy thing. Preview. If we have more lines, this is something that AI could write me. Okay, write me the Python to detect if the output lines are more than the currently visible lines of on the terminal, and if so, send the output indirectly to a pager. This is a pretty common thing. I have it all over in other code and Go and stuff, but I want to see what she comes up with. Printer page. Instead of running in a terminal, just print is a TTY. Terminal is a TTY 80 lines. Fallback 80. This is the kind of same thing I do. Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. Exactamal. Yep. God, that's perfect. See, I don't mind using AI for that kind of thing. That's absolutely perfect. Print or page. Print text. All right, so the process we don't need, it's just we don't need. So yeah, so what I could do is with all this stuff is I could capture up all the output and just put it in. Yeah, we need to put it all into a big string buffer. I mean, we're not talking about stuff that's going to break the machine's memory here, so I could probably just buffer it all up. Let's see. How do I efficiently build a buffer instead of printing each line? This is also going to get rid of those multiple print lines. Accumulator, yeah. Lines append, seriously? That's it? Okay. Items buff equals, we get error, buff dot append. Can I append F strings? I guess so. Ah, what am I doing? I don't know. Buff lines dot append. That's not lines, buff dummy. Um, printer page, buff. Let's see if it works. Nope. That did not work. You know why? Because all the escapes didn't get escaped. Uh-huh. Oh, I know why. Let's do this. Is that gonna work? No. You can't append. How do you append to a buffer? Oh, join lines. I don't like this method. If you need streaming logic with someone on a buffer. Okay, fine. I'm just missing one thing. This AI is not the best way to do this. I guarantee you. There's a much more efficient way to do this, but she doesn't know it. I don't care though. It really is lines actually. God, it's so ugly. Yeah, well, that did it. That's did what I wanted. So it's definitely buffering it. I think it did. Did it do less? Which one did it use? We should make it so it uses the pager too. Um, what is it? Get what? Get environment. Env. What is it? Can't remember. Mm-hmm. Is much better. I was watching somebody the other day, and they said they lost all their code because they worked on stuff with AI for over a month and didn't save anything in Git. I wanted to cry. They were using AI for the whole thing. I just thought of that because like this is the kind of thing where you would say like, okay, add the OS import statement or something like that, and it would like redo the rest of your code, and you would not have a Git commit. And I was just like, because I've been burned by that before, um, you know. So pager, let's see, get pager. Um, I was like, what? All right, that works. What I don't like about it though is it's not letting me quit out of my pager because I think it's using, is it less or more as a default? I actually like more better. Get it? More better. I know I don't. What I might have that wrong. Which is the one that lets you out? But it didn't export it. Keep more better. No, they're all bad. Look at all those escapes in that one. Yeah, more is not an option here. More is not an option. Yeah. I should just use less and call it a day. Did I put most pager? Shut up. Did I actually write that? I must have written that. There is actually a pager called Most. Are you serious? I just don't know about it yet. It would not be the first time. You can't use more here. It won't. It's not. It doesn't have color. No, I'm not allowing it. I'm not allowing it. I did learn about it today. Just now, in fact. Underline at the end. All right, there we go, baby. Baby. Get status. Get commit. Deploy. Dry. Preview. Dry run is done. There you go. I meant to pin the PR for reference into the chat so people could go there if they wanted to and follow the code. But I did not do that. So here it is. You can go play with that while I raid. How do I pin? Why isn't it saying I can't pin it? Because I'm not an admin or something? It's my own message, for heck's sakes. I don't know. 3-hour stream. That sounds about right. I'm done. I actually feel like we got a lot done today. I got the main thing done today. To tell you the truth, I don't care about deploying. The script is called deploy because other people told me that wouldn't it be great if we had a deploy script that by default does those dry runs. I'm like, no, I want a sanity check. I can care less about the actual auto deploy. And so we compromised and have come up with a script called deploy. But frankly, the rsync deploy or the copy, if it's a single thing, is the last thing I want to implement, because I want to implement the sanity check to see what things have changed. And the thing that I need more than deploying on top of things that are broken is I need to see what has changed on the system first. And if something has changed on the system, I need to pull it in. In fact, even more important than seeing a preview of what's going to change is pulling all of the changes into the Git repo so that I can do a Git diff and see what those changes are. That is way, way, way more important than all of the rest. Because if I manage to do that, then all I have to do is sync our dev branch regularly with whatever the fuck the people are doing on the live system. I could even fucking automate it. I could do the reverse of CI/CD. I could do the absolute opposite of CI/CD. I could say, okay, if there's ever a change, we could run ENTR and see if any of these files change. Fuck, I could totally do this live. I could run a daemon. I could run a daemon that runs ENTR deploy detect, which detects if any of those files have changed at all, like tripwire, basically. And it would say, okay, if any of these files have changed, pull them in and commit them with the sync. Commit PR for them and push them in because they changed live in production. Or I could tie it to an alert and says, oh, this file has changed. Right now I can't do any of that. I can do the check. I just finished all the stuff to do the check. It's like, here's the report of all the stuff that's changed. I've done that. So what I need to do the opposite though, and that's the one that pulls them in. And that is something that I am going to have to do by hand tomorrow, which is going to be, yeah, just make it a webhook, right? Just make it a webhook. So, you know, quite honestly, I kind of like this because for all the same reasons that the OG, sysadmins like changing live files, it's faster. And so let's say you're on I can see a legitimate reason to do this. So let's say you're in a home lab, right? You're in a home lab and you are going like crazy. You're going like crazy setting up machines and configurations, and you're tweaking this and that, and you're live editing YAML and Kubernetes and whatever. And you're doing all these live changes, and because you're debugging, you're getting it all working, you're iterating. And you get it all working, you're like, what the hell did I do? Hey, dude. At the end of the day, you're like, what the hell did I change? You have no idea. So being able to run a program, or even dynamically have the program running in the background to say, hey, all those changes I got you. It's like having like a droid watching all of the things you're doing and taking notes and saying, okay, this is what to change, this is what to change. Oh, you changed it back. Okay, I'm gonna put that there. And then you could have it like every 5 minutes. It's like auto save for your entire environment. Honest to God, that's what it is. You know how you have autosave like during like web editing, like document editing and stuff like that? It's autosave. It's autosave for your development across multiple files on the same system. And you could actually, God, this could go all over the place. You can make some really cool tools out of this. You could actually make it so that you have an autosave agent that runs on all of your systems that you care about. And so you put the autosave agent in there and you say, okay, I'm just going to go fuck with stuff. And you just go mess around with all of it. And it's auto-saving as you go. And it's saving commit history. And it's all going into Git for you automatically. And then you just go back to your Git, you look through your commit log, and you can go see all the work you did. And then you hand all that off to an AI and say, do this again. You guys know about the script command? Probably not. This is exactly what it is. It used to be if you were on a single, these days you're not on one system, it's too bad. These days you're not on a single system, but if you were, when you were on one system, you turned script on, and every single thing you did, every change you made, it writes it to a script. And then you take that script and you can actually run you do minor shifts on it, and you can run the script. So time shift but aggressive, sounds like yes. But yeah, I mean, it would be like, yeah, I mean, Nix takes care of all this, obviously, right? If you're the whole idea behind NixOS is largely built on this kind of idea, at least the setup of it anyway. So yeah, it's pretty interesting though, right? It's kind of an interesting idea. I suspect we're going to see a lot more of this come to light, because CI/CD is got a major flaw. There's one major flaw in CI/CD that's not even the obvious one, that people don't look at the code anymore. They don't even PR the code. They just deploy it, and shit blows up. Which happened. That's I think it was the Cloudflare error. That was the one that like killed everybody. Not everybody, but you know what I mean. So I need to be in my house here. Now I'm in the house. Okay. So CI/CD has one really big flaw, and that is it's not realistic when it's dealing with files on a test system that are changing, or even a production system that are changing because they're being edited dynamically. People are changing them, automations are changing them, things like that. So CI/CD has the baseline assumption that the system it is being deployed to cannot change without it doing the change. And that is unrealistic. It's just unrealistic. People are going to change things that are going to get blown out. And the answer to that, the CI/CD answer to that is, well, it shouldn't have changed it then. There are no files. It's all in the cloud. Well, they shouldn't have changed it. They changed it, it's their own fucking fault. They didn't put it in Git. It's their fault. Yeah, but the system just went down and billions of dollars down the tube. It doesn't matter whose fault it is at that point. That is a big problem with CI/CD. CI/CD has this utopian idea of how systems are managed. And I'm telling you, that's not how enterprises work. Show me an enterprise that is so totally clean that every single thing that gets deployed can be done so with CI/CD and never have a risk of blowing out something that was changed in another way. And I will buy you a beer. Because they don't exist. And that's actually one of the biggest problems with CI/CD. And that is exactly, we are seeking to have a CI/CD deployment, but I'm going to predict something here. I'm going to predict that we are going to be unsuccessful. We have been kicking the can of CI/CD down the road for years at this point, and it's just going to keep happening. My manager would take great exception to that. If you're watching, I love you. she she would get mad at me for saying that because I do support CI/CD. I want to have it work, but I just don't think it's realistic. I honestly don't. They're going to keep trying to push it out there, and I'm trying to make it work for them. But I think the opposite is more likely. The opposite is keep our source code repos up to date with what's deployed in the reverse. And that's what I'm going to work on tomorrow. Give Rob a raise. I don't need a raise. I know I said that publicly. I don't need a raise. I make plenty of money. I make obscene amount of money for me. I can always use more, but it's way more than I need for my needs. I still have the debt from the school, but you know, I told you I got my credit rating back, right? That's awesome. I love it. So I gotta go. That's it for me tonight. So tomorrow I will continue working on this, but tomorrow instead of the sanity check about what's going to be blown away, we're going to do the opposite, and we're going to pull in stuff, and we're going to pull stuff into the repo. And then I didn't ask for a pay cut. Be careful. So wait, does it still do the thing? Is it still seeing my peace sign? Little Bonnie poo poo, I don't want to see you. Pooping up the field, mice give up and men. What the hell? I'm doing my thing and it's not doing it. How about this? There we go. It's picky, man. You can't do that. That's like flipping somebody up in England, apparently. Peace. There is a peace sign. I swear there's a peace sign. There is. There's like, yeah, there it is. Balloons. Happy day balloons. Yeah. There's VODs for all of this. Does YouTube not show the VODs? It should. I turn VODs back on everything. Peace among worlds. There you go. Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody. Go watch somebody else code or whatever. Go have fun. I'm gonna go in and turn in for the night. I'll be on the bike tomorrow morning, bright and early. So hopefully bright and early. And yeah. I just realized I have to get some stuff done before the check-in meeting tomorrow morning. Yeah. I'm just pausing because I definitely have to have one piece of this done. And I haven't done that yet. So it's under live streams, yeah. It's all under live streams. Everything is live these days. I don't post videos usually. The only stuff that goes under videos is if it's a clip. And usually that turns into a short. So yeah. All right, everybody. There's only 15 of us, so I'm not gonna raid. Could have so long I'm growing hair. I know I am growing hair. Like actual hair. I don't know what's happening there. Strange things are happening. Hair is happening. Bye, everybody. See you later. Do 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 do.